For today, the lesson is the components of fitness. And call it the circle of fitness because these are all related. Obviously, you know about strength, conditioning, skill. And this one hasn't been talked much about, perspicacity, which is being self-aware, percipient. And that's what we'll talk about, the different components today. So, strength, obvious one. And I put it in tiers because you have different levels of fitness required for what you're going to do, right? So at the top, you've got the elite, elite military top guys, not the drone operators, right? So a drone operator is different than an Air Force pilot. And then we have professional athletes. And again, a pro tour cyclist is different than a baseball player. And obviously, a pool player or an archer is going to have different requirements for their fitness. And we also have bodybuilders here, but we'll put that there. Then we have the mid-tier, and this would be like your regular infantry guys. They have to be fit, but not as fit. And then we have the police, fire. They have to pass a fitness test. We have amateur athletes who are exercising, or supposedly fit, and the regular enthusiasts, trying to stay healthy. Then you have the bottom tier, which is everybody else. Probably about 99% of the population is going to be in the bottom tier. And so we're talking about just the 1% here. It could be 1%, 2%. It's a very small number. All right. Now on the conditioning, okay, you've got obviously cardio, because this is more difficult than just strength, because you have your heart and your whole cardiovascular system that you have to exercise. And most people can't do this or don't do it properly. And as I'm going to show, it's all in a circle because everything is related. And so if you increase your muscles, it makes it harder to actually do your cardio because you're too big. You don't really see the big guys out there running, unless you want to do a cyclist indoor training, like Greg, you can do this. But also flexibility. So if you want to avoid injury, you have to be flexible. Keep your muscles. You don't want your muscles to be all stuck because you're really going to hurt yourself, obviously. Skills. All right. So sometimes you're born with it. You have a special body type, but you have all the innate abilities, things you're born with. If you have poor eyesight, this is going to be difficult for you, right? And how you move, is really important to make sure that you don't injure yourself. The better you move, the less likely you're going to get injured, up to a point. And obviously your body type is going to depend on what sports you're going to go into. Obviously a basketball player is different than a baseball player, different than a football player, and etc. Right? And you can also have innate and acquired skills, right? So you can do sports training. Even with weight training, you're going to train. You have certain exercises that you have to know to do, and obviously the study of martial arts. Now, this is the one that's really missed off, and this is being aware of your surroundings. So for me, like a cyclist, you have to be aware of dangers like cars. They're constantly trying to run you over. And also environmental concerns, like air quality. I always have to check the air quality every time I go out. And that'll determine what kind of exercise I'm going to do that day. Some days I don't even go out. The last few weeks have been really bad. And I don't see a lot of people really paying enough attention to this, especially the younger people, because this adds up over a lifetime. And you really have to be careful. Especially today, the air is getting worse and worse. You've got all the different pollutants out there, and you do want to avoid them. And this is, again, you have to be aware of what's going on and do your best. Yeah, so being aware of the self, you're going to avoid injuries while performing. Even yoga teachers, you can overstretch and get injured. I think they're one of the ones that get injured the most. Knowledge, you have to have knowledge of what you're doing and skills, especially with archery, I'll show you. And you have to know your limits so you don't overextend and hurt yourself. Most have never even learned to walk properly, because I watch this all the time, and it's sad. And then they can't learn to walk, then they try to run, and they destroy their bodies. It's really sad to watch. And we call it the circle because they're all related. So increase your strength, maybe reduce your ability for conditioning or flexibility, right? Too much conditioning and flexibility can be harmful. If you're too flexible, you're not going to be able to move properly. You'll be too flexible, and it's difficult to even walk. You can give yourself heart issues, and overstretching then you cannot continue on with your strength training because you're too sore. And then, of course, usage of performance-enhancing drugs will make everything worse because you're going to lose awareness. You can increase your strength beyond your normal abilities, and especially if you don't have this awareness, you're just going to injure yourself. Of course, you're going to damage your organs. And your brain, shrink your brain, and that's really a bad idea. So that's why we call it, or I call it, the circle. So all these are related, and you have to have them all, especially the awareness. Without this, you're really going to hurt yourself, right? And so so that's it. So how does the circle of fitness relate to archery? Well, let me show you. Obviously, you need the strength in order to pull the bow. And if you saw my previous video, it's all about pulling the bow back. It's really simple, right? You would think. If you've seen any of the videos I've watched, like war bow, 150-pound war bows, and the guys are trying to demo it, usually you'll see they won't pull it back all the way. I haven't seen anybody that's actually done the full draw and hold it there for 10 seconds. If you've seen one, please let me know. Usually it's a pretty short draw. The ones that I've seen demo, they're like, boom, and they're like trying to shoot it. And it's more difficult. So you have strength, then you have to have the skill in order to do it. And it doesn't need as much conditioning, but it's good to have because you're going to be out there. I mean, when I go to competitions, it's out there it's a 2-day competition, 144 arrows plus your warm up. It's like, so warm up plus practice, you're looking at 200 arrows. They have to be out there usually in a hot sun. And when I was out there, it was before I did cycle racing, and I did not have the nutrition, didn't know it. So I would be out there and I would start cramping up after the second half of the day. It was hard, very hard. Also, I became an archery coach, and what they would say, of course, was you line it up bone on bone. You want to be lined up, and it's all bone on bone and everything, and just to get in alignment. And if you hear anybody say that, just run away. All the coaches that I've ever seen or worked with, they've damaged their bodies beyond they can use them. For instance, they would destroy their shoulder, destroy their knee in fencing. As a coach, I am. So if you see a coach that's destroyed their body, you probably don't want to follow them. And so with archery, it's very important not to do bone on bone. It's the same with walking or anything else. Just don't do it. And so, and the heavier you get, and the stronger you get, the harder it's going to be. So it's got to be all sort of in balance. So with archery, you want to actually roll the shoulder back. It's all on the back, and you have to push because you're going to have the same force here is here. It's still obviously the way it works. And you cannot collapse in or anything like that, or push. You have to push out, or you're getting hurt. It's the way it is. And right now I've been practicing with this, obviously, because now I'm up to this is a 48-pound bow. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm shooting, this is a left-handed bow. I'm right-handed. Again, this is about skill and knowledge. And when I first started, I go to the archery store here in the city and talk to the guy and sets me up with a bow. He sets me up with a right-handed bow. All wrong. Everything was wrong. Didn't know anything what he was doing. So I had to finally do all my research and find out it's based on the eye dominance, and not hand. So I had to switch from right-handed to left-handed. And then if you notice, I've switched the grip here. I had what was called a high grip on here because I was testing it out. All my previous bows, I used a low grip. This is the low grip. And when I got this bow, I immediately switched the grip. These are just little screws. And I took my old low grip off the other bow and put it on here, and I was shooting with that. But when I started back in and exercising with it, I thought, well, let's try an experiment. And I put the high grip on. And it's been about 2 weeks now, and I'm up to about 4, I can do 4 reps now out of 7. So I'm getting there. So a couple more weeks, I should be able to do all 7 repetitions so that I can then move on to the next phase. What I noticed was I didn't get any, because I've been working on this, so no soreness on my shoulders or anywhere else, but I developed just a little pain right here. And I noticed it because I was getting my bike, and I went, wow, what's that little pain there? So if you get any pain anywhere, it's a bad sign. And so I had to switch the grip, and now the pain's gone. It's working great. So it's really important to know this. And it's really simple, but you think it's simple. Anyway, just avoid injury. I mean, I hurt my thumb. And yeah, so I've been having a lot of fun with this. And yeah. And of course, talking about my company and stuff. I started a company 21 years ago. And this is what I was going to teach people. We were going to do some coding during the day, and then do martial arts and exercises the rest of the day. It was going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, it's just me because I couldn't find anybody. I couldn't even find anybody to coach here in the city. Oh, it was so sad. But it is what it is. Anyway, I'm still here, and I've been having a great time. And archery is a great sport, but it's probably too difficult for anybody to do it. Like for instance, I can do this because every day I can do like 10 sets a day, as much as I can. So it's holding, it's only like 2-minute exercise, right? Hold for 10 seconds, 10, just keep doing it over and over again. So I do this all the time, so I got the bow set up right in front of me. But if you're in an office, you can't probably do that, or for gotta work. And you can try a stretch band. You can use a stretch band to do it, or some other thing, but it's not going to be exactly the same. And you would never have found out the problem with the setup, like the bow, the handle, right? Grip. Oh, so you can do it, but it's probably more difficult, to learn how to do archery. It's a very special sport. It's a lot of fun though. And yeah, that's it. Yeah.